Hello, this is exercise 221 on direct material cost, prime cost, conversion cost, and cost of goods manufactured. We're given some information for Ellerson Company for beginning inventories and ending inventories for these material categories for direct materials, work in process, and finished goods. We're also given the current costs during the year for direct material purchases, direct labor costs, and overhead costs. 100,000 units were completed. We're asked to, one, calculate the total cost of direct materials used. Number two, the cost of goods manufactured, including the unit manufacturing costs. And then for part three, they give us the direct material per unit cost and the overhead per unit cost, and where to calculate prime cost per unit and conversion cost per unit. So let's get started. To calculate the direct materials used, we're going to start with beginning inventory and direct materials, which is 68,000. And then we're going to add direct material purchases of 278,000. That gives us a total $346,000. And then what we need to do is back off the ending inventory. So I'm going to make that a negative. And that will give us our direct materials used. And we'll just net these two together. And we get direct materials used to 275,600. Okay, next we're asked to calculate the cost of goods manufactured. The cost of goods manufactured are the direct material, direct labor, and overhead costs incurred during the period, adjusted for the beginning and ending inventory of work in process. Essentially what we're calculating is the cost of goods completed during this period, regardless when they were started. So the number we're calculating is really what's being transferred from work in process inventory to finished goods inventory. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start out with our direct materials used, which we just calculated. Okay, and then to that we're going to add our direct labor cost and our overhead cost. So I'm just going to make this equal to direct labor cost and our overhead cost. And then if I just pull these over here, we're pulling in the direct labor and overhead costs. And I'm just going to adjust that formatting a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to do a total. Let's format this a little bit. Add these three together. And then I'm going to add beginning inventory work in process. $29,400 and subtract the ending inventory work in process, 40,000, and that will give us our cost of goods manufactured. Oops, I wanted to make that a negative. There we go. I'll just auto sum those two. Oops. Not quite right. Ought to sum these three. There we go. We got a cost of goods manufactured, $977,000. Okay, next we're being asked to calculate prime cost per unit. Prime cost is direct material cost plus direct labor cost. So we can back into that essentially. First, we need to calculate our unit manufacturing cost. And let's see. I didn't have that title set up, so I just made it magically appear. So unit manufacturing cost, and that would be equal to total cost of goods manufactured divided by the units completed, $9.77 per unit. Now we're given the overhead per unit. Make that a negative 530. So if we subtract overhead per unit from unit manufacturing cost, that will give us the prime cost per unit. $4.47. Okay, lastly, we're asked to calculate the conversion cost per unit. That's a two-step process. First, we'll calculate the direct labor cost per unit. So we'll take our prime cost per unit and now we need to subtract the direct material cost per unit. And I'm going to make that negative. And that will give me my direct labor per unit. Okay, and to finish this out, lastly we'll take the direct labor per unit and then we'll add the overhead per unit. And direct labor plus overhead is conversion cost per unit. Okay, so that finishes this up.